Hello, Ray.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you.
I hope you are doing well.
I'm all right. I think I'm doing better than those who are locked in their homes in fear of their lives because of all the riots and violence in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, I feel big manso issues
Tell me.
sometimes. It's you
Hmm.
know,
And you know,
I was
it's
asking some people whether even with all of this, they will finally give up and say, "No, this is not my country. I'm going back home." Even the older ones were telling me, "Oh, so now it's too late."
hmm. Yeah. I mean, after some time, it gets harder and harder.
Yeah.
I lived there for over a decade, almost 14 years. Trust me when I say coming home is not easy. In fact,
Mhm.
I put it off for as long as I could.
So as if you are starting your life
Mm.
all over again.
Absolutely. It's not easy. And you see, it's a cycle. You get into it. You have to work to pay your bills, to work to pay your bills, to work to pay your bills. And if you stop it for, any significant amount of time,
It appears you're exposed.
indeed. So it is a tough decision to just pack up and leave. Also, sometimes, I mean, I can imagine the indignation of those who are victims of this because they are working to contribute to that economy. They are
Mm.
doing jobs that indigents don't wish to do. They are toiling, and they are mostly law abiding. So it must be frustrating to know that you are an asset, but to be treated like a liability, you know?
Generally, when people feel that what makes them slightly comfortable or social systems are eroding, they find people to blame.
Hmm.
First, they will look to the people who are actually causing the harm. But if that grouping is too powerful, like government, they look to the next person to them. Then start, like South Africans felt it was other Africans who were their problem. And that who are taking the jobs and they're not getting jobs to do, so go and kill the guy and take over everything that he has anyway. So those are simmering tensions. And also, we should not dismiss this is even pre Brexit time. There's a lot of rhetoric. In fact, the UK had to do hate speech laws because of some of these things.
Hmm.
A lot of it, predominantly led by politicians, that really evoked some emotion. I could hear people discuss that. That emotion was part of the reason why they voted Brexit. Because anybody who reviewed some of the arguments made before and after Brexit will know that there was no sense in making that decision.
Hmm.
It has no legal, proper thinking behind it. It was just the same hate within being being pushed out in ways compounded by social factors.
Hmm.
And again, I mean, even in our country, it happens sometimes. We sometimes inflame, be it ethnic, be it religious sentiments. We do it, and we do it for sometimes partisan political purposes.
Absolutely.
But what we forget is that with advancement, some people can move beyond that.
Hmm.
Others, it stays with them.
Yeah.
So the person that I've been living with for 20 years now becomes an enemy merely because I've been told they were enemies some 100 or 50 years ago.
It's a pity. It's a
Well,
pity. I mean, if you look, there's racism everywhere, but there has always been a certain difference between the racism you encounter in the United Kingdom and in, say, the United States.
true.
Okay, so in the United States, it's brazen. In
Mm-hmm,
the parts
mm-hmm.
of that country where there are
Yeah.
racists, it's brazen. I mean, the police will just shoot you because of the color of your skin. People will. They see you with children and you are a black person and they'll report you to the police just for that. It's brazen, open. In the UK, it was always subtle. It was always hidden. In fact, they were so concerned about being called racist that they would overcompensate by giving opportunities to people of minority groups that they sometimes didn't even deserve,
Mm-hmm.
just so nobody would say they were racist. But incidents like this make the bad ones really take over and show their horrible character in a way that is really distasteful.
Now, let me start with the Daily Graphic, and it's reporting this morning economic growth favors the rich. ISA demands income redistribution. And of course, we've been serializing the 2024 mid-year budget review. And here's a picture of Professor Peter Corte here, director at ISA. Says the country's economic figures stand in sharp contrast with the daily economic hardships faced by we, the citizens. The ISA has observed. It said although the country's total income distributed per person, also known as per capita income, increased by some 386 from 1,979 in 2016 to 2,365 in 2023. The institute is of the opinion that there is still sharp inequality in the Republic of Ghana. So you, the rich, you are the ones who are reflecting in this change in per capita income. We, the masses, are not feeling the change. This has caused trouble in some countries. In fact, it has contributed to a breakdown of law of order elsewhere. When a grouping in a country feel that the economic figures always touted, that's not reflecting their reality. And to many of us in the Republic of Ghana, that is how it's been. Let's not get it wrong. Even when we have halved poverty between 92 and 2016, you get what I'm trying to say? Big statistic. We were very happy that we did that. We pushed almost 900,000 more, predominantly in the now 5 regions of the north, into poverty, which is something we should be very, very concerned about. Of course, over the years, we have sought to use things like LEAP to deal with extreme poverty and all of that. But we need to do what ISA says, income redistribution, so that at least we are not saying make all of us billionaires and millionaires and make us live in East Legon, but let's survive like others are surviving.
What are some of the means of redistributing income?
As in fair taxation systems. So Winston & Co, smart rich people know how to avoid taxes. Some of us, the incidents, every corner I pass, you feel the tax. You get a point. That's a way of making sure that the system is fair to everybody. It's progressive. That's progressive taxation. So don't introduce plenty taxes which only the poor pays, because they have to be compliant, because they don't have the schemes, they don't have the accountants, they don't have the competent lawyers to be able to avoid, and let the people on the other side get all the tax reliefs because they know the schemes, they know the systems that allows that to happen. That is one way of ensuring. Again, making sure that there are safety nets, true, not partisan safety nets, true and proper safety nets that actually we all can access. That's also a very important one. So that when you say that you are giving people support by way of how to start business and all of that, it is not only people who are connected to political parties who can get it, but the person who also needs support so that they can lift themselves out of poverty will be able to access these same facilities. They can do business on their own or improve their livelihoods with some of these things.
Should we be taking the opportunity to examine some of our social interventions, if in spite of them we still have such inequality in wealth? Should we start re-examining things like the NHIA and free SHS? Like, what are the outcomes, and why are the outcomes not bridging the gap?
In 2011, the Social Services Network with the World Bank did a thorough national study looking at virtually all of them. One of the major recommendations he gave at the time was that, first of all, remove all subsidies on this so-called fuel. It was not targeting the right people. It was a time that they said our best targeted program was LEAP. That's 2011. Our best targeted program was LEAP. Because again, even though some rich people were pretending to put their family members on their list, some poor people got access to LEAP, and it helped them, at the time was 40 cedi or so, to survive and to be able to still ask their kids to go to school. And all of them were reviewed and properly aligned. I don't know, this 2011. I don't know whether there's a more recent review of our social safety net programs to improve the lot of the, because they are better off having a standard of living that will not make them cause chaos.
You see, so the whole idea of the premix, this whole premix fuel thing, we're taxing consumption of diesel and super that we call it, and then using the savings to actually do what? To actually support fishermen in these areas by way of subsidizing. Unfortunately, after taxing these products, we sent these funds, give it to party operatives. They did not only increase the prices, but sometimes also hoard it from the very people that they're supposed to give them to. And so that's a problem.
Yeah.
That in itself tells you that the scheme is problematic.
Yeah.
Because fuel also is consumed by everybody. So you cannot target fuel, as in diesel and super, to say you're going to cushion those fishermen.
Yeah.
Because the other people who are in other deprived areas, who are struggling, would need to move from one place to the other. And transport fares, as we've come to know it, one of the major determinants is fuel prices. So that in itself was problematic. I still think that that particular thing is problematic. Some have looked at, the leap that you talk about. So they've looked at, welfare systems where there'll be transfer of money, funds to people as a way of income redistribution. LEAP, as is currently being implemented, if improved upon, is a perfect way of going about it. But also, one of the things we could have done was to look at the reasons why many of these people find themselves in the positions in which they are. Many of them would want to engage in jobs that they cannot get. But if they were to leave this country and go to other countries, they're able to get these jobs. However, the thing is this: where you're able to improve working conditions and as a result create jobs in a community, that community is able to export jobs. When I say they export jobs, it means that people are going to come to these communities and work. When they come into these communities and work, the people of the communities are able to engage in what you call the provision of services. That in itself creates jobs for them. And so one of the things that, reasons I supported the creation of new regions was that in itself was going to lead to more people moving to some of these areas, because they're going to be creating new
regional capitals.
You're going to be creating new coordinating councils. Automatically, you force certain private sector service providers to move to these areas. Unfortunately, it's not happened.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the last one I should add to this, because you are still talking about what they call it, safety net programs. Amend NHIA Act for efficient NHIS. Dr. Dr. Da Costa Abuache is actually the CEO of the NHIS. He's the one saying so. Basically, what he's saying is that, yes, please don't put the money, in all fairness, into that big bottomless hole called consolidated fund.
Just give
so
it
that
directly to
I will
them.
struggle to get releases. Then the people, because releases are not coming to the service providers, they also cut corners. Give the monies directly to us. A country that has about 8 billion raised from NHI and related ones will have the NHIS getting about 2 billion. So what happens to 6 billion anyway? And it rolls on virtually every year. So we think the system is not working, but because somebody is refusing to introduce or give them all the money.
The problem is that a lot of the transfers that go to NHIA is from SNCs. They are able to transfer them because they don't have to route it through the consolidated fund.
But the consolidated fund one
is huge. In fund accounting, you have this fund clearly said this is how much they need. Give it to them. Anyway, let me get to the Ghanaian Times. We'll come back to this. At Maiden Town Hall meeting in Accra, government touts economy's recovery, says despite challenges, economy grows by $20 billion. Inflation drops from 54% in 2022 to 22% as of June 2024. It was at that same meeting that Mohammed Amin Adams was apologizing. Inside, there's a recruitment into the security services. You may want to check that. Uphold principles of founding fathers to propel national growth and development. Dr. Bamia. Election 2024 campaign, I'll consider Kusau region. That's according to John Dramani Mahama. That's around the Boku Zabila area. Government bans lease of public lands by public institutions and individuals. It's also on the front page of the Ghanaian Times.
Now the Daily Guide says our preserve traditions, custom. That's Dr. Baumia, and he's with Odino Kwafo Akoto the Third, Akwamu, the paramount chief there, and three HRALC bishops jailed for contempt. And HRALC is Holy Apostolic Reformed Church. They've been sentenced to 5 days imprisonment for contempt of court. Bishops.